Our mission is to provide a platform where artists come together to create art and share their stories. Thank you for joining us and supporting the arts.
We are live.
We are live. We are alive.
I am alive.
Alright, I'm gonna start my video. Cool. I think the introduction played throughout. I will definitely check that back, but pretty happy with how our new setup is.
I think, yeah, I like it.
Now we have faces again. So, hello.
Hey, faces.
And a monkey on our mic.
Nothing like having a monkey on my mic.
Oh, I think he shows up on you too.
Does he?
Yeah, right
Sweet.
there. Alrighty. So we'll do some paintings and talkings and stuff. Is that a fly?
Sweet. Mosquito.
Yeah. Let's see. I hope this coffee's still hot. So how much more are you thinking for yours? What all are you? Because like I said in the past, like what you think isn't nearly finished enough is like, what? Are you kidding? Like it looks super detailed already.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has a lot of details, but I think that there needs to be some refining, and then more details, and refining, and then more details. But that's me, super critical of our own work, you know.
The artist curse.
Just sensitive buttholes.
True. That's okay. It's what makes us us. You gotta learn something somehow.
That is true. I'm waiting to learn.
Let's see. So basically just straight up paint her hair red.
Yes, like kind of like what I was, yeah. That would be my base. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then you can play with it from there.
Why? Too much water. Too much. Let me see. I think I have to move this up a little bit. Actually, no. Oh, no. My Instagram looks great. The other camera looks not. No, and then that's too high. That's fine. People will know.
They all know.
They all know. It's a thing. Alright. Let's see. Jeez. She's bleeding. I forgot I painted the one thumbnail. And I still haven't done the rest. Alright, inkwell. Here, I'll clean that. Give me 1 second.
There is not going to be any country music played this evening.
Ew. Sorry.
The only country music I will play would be Eddie Spaghetti, maybe Gigi Allen's Christmas songs. I would play some of those.
I don't even know what those are.
The 12 Days of Christmas. I believe the 5th day for Gigi Allen's Christmas Carol would be 5 herpes seeds, if that gives you any indication of
Gotcha.
some of the music that I listen to.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, not really.
Let's see.
So you say no country music, huh?
Well, not complete, no. Like, I respect it, and I'll listen to it if clients want to listen to it.
Wow.
It's just not something I will personally.
Well, no.
And
I wasn't meaning like client relations. Just like your personal viewpoint on the country musics.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't mind it. I respect it hella because I know it's, from what I understand, like most of the time, they have really good voices live. Usually, no matter what country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like they emphasize more on the voice than some other genres, which is very interesting to me. And what I thought was easy for dance moves and thought it was like, I thought it was like too simple. I thought anyone could do it, and then I got invited on a date to like a rodeo night of dancing, and the twos. Oh my god, I'm so horrible. Like I'm not coordinated enough to do that. Like and it takes so much energy, so much more energy than I thought. And here are these like couples and even older folks that are like just getting down to it, and it's like repetition, and my brain doesn't follow repetition very well. It needs a little chaos.
That's fair.
It's more of an orderly kind of, I don't know. But I respect it hella since that experience. Before I was like, hell nah. But now I'm like, okay, I see why. It's just, it's not the thing that inspires me to do stuff.
That's fair.
All the red. What do you feel about paintings going off the edge of a canvas? You know what I mean? Instead of
like not having a complete border.
Yeah.
Or are you talking like?
Or that like for example, if this arm was like kind of out, you don't even see the hand. Or how do I explain?
Myself, like,
well, I guess,
and I know there's a term for it, but I like paintings when they go off of the edge of the canvas, but they are picked up by the
edge of it.
They're, if it's faded out in a reasonable way, that's cool. I like that. But I like the paintings that kind of come out of the border, meaning that they're extended onto or outside of maybe the, why can't I think of the word?
Words, they're hard.
I know. The matting, like if you have to cut the mat to show a point, do you understand what I mean? Or some artists will paint on the frame themselves, where the painting comes off of, and then paint directly like that one piece onto the frame. I really like that kind of thing, where it's breaking boundaries and moving forward. If it's just a painting and you have a hand missing kind of off of it, I guess it's case by case.
I guess it's determined by the composition.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
My friend one of my friends from back home, he's time sketching.
Okay.
He owns a little comic book, or he used to do the comic conventions with me, or like we met at comic conventions and we're like good friends and stuff, and he'll inform me about a bunch of things to keep up to date, and he was all like, when are you coming home? It's much warmer here. And I'm like, I'll be back in February for like a week, and my journey ain't done yet. I gotta continue to grow. Gotta be me, kind of. I just, well, yeah, no, you're right. True. You're right. I'm learning to. Plus, I don't regret where I'm at. I really like the progression and stuff I've made thus far. Plus, I feel like everyone needs something like that. Something they need to like go off and be independent or learn about the world. It's like many tales and stories kind of unfolds the same kind of teachings of
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Hobbit's tale.
I mean,
you're
it's
gonna
true.
get like super dorky about it.
Oh no, I love that you went dorky.
Yeah, I mean,
that was like one of my things.
That's Star Wars as well. It's like the little farm boy going off into the galaxy to find out, Jedi and all that stuff. hero's journey.
The hero's journey. I was like, all right, universe. Show me and I will go.
And they're like, you're going to go, but you're going to lose a car and lose a computer. Shacked up with some crazy old wizard.
You're going to understand. You're going to, everything you know that is right now is going to be completely wrong at the end of the time.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of...
That's part of it, though, but that's part of growing. That's part of the journey.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I agree. I'm just like... I don't know, because I think I got to the point of like building up this person, and then I started breaking down everything about that person, and then I started building up a little bit, and now I'm breaking down that person, and it's like a continual...
Yeah.
It's like a continual cycle that never ends. Lots of heartbreak. But good challenges. I've noticed, I think... One thing I'm kind of proud of myself for, and I've been told with people about being my attitude toward kind of staying positive and taking like my faults when I need to. I know like there's things I can improve on for sure, but I definitely have been trying to take more ownership / but also trying to be as fair to myself as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to take responsibility for your actions and all the things, but at the same time, you have to be loving and caring about yourself. You know, you can't just beat the hell out of yourself and then be like, you deserve this. You're like, all right, well, fuck, you know, I made this decision. This is what happens. All right, but
it's like I chose to be in
you'll learn next, or just remember this. And
you only control your own actions. Just control them next time. Or keep in mind of this lesson.
What up?
Brew, brew, brew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brew.
Always be mindful.
Yeah, but not that I'm excusing whatsoever. I'm just thinking of, like, sometimes, something that I know...
Shit, I forgot my girl's birthday. Sorry.
Being mindful?
Yeah, speaking of being mindful.
It's hard. It's the focus is all hard. Whoops.
There's so many things going on all at the same time.
I know.
But that is life.
I have been good, Werewolf, and I love you too, Raven. My sister's watching.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah. Are you still there? I can't tell. Let's see. Yes, I think she's still there. Let's see. I'll have to message her sometime with you. She's funny. She cracks me up. Talented musician too. It's kind of funny because oh yeah, my dad's like a hella skilled writer. My sister's a hella skilled like writer and songwriter, and then I have my art. Like we all have our own little weird individual things, but we try to help each other out.
Yeah, that's the way to be. We all have our own talents, that's for sure.
Our own blueprints, our own destiny.
Yeah. I mean, my family's no different. Like my brother is very skilled carver and paints. My dad and mom both painted and draw. My mom can sew and cook and bake and do all those things. My dad can fix damn near anything.
Do you find that
Make
it kind of
almost anything.
helped you to come, like, grow up in a house full of artists-ish? Do you think that kind of helped your spark a little?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think it was really like it would have been a lot different. Let me put it this way. It would have been a lot different if it was kind of like presented like, oh, we're all artists. And that, and this is what we do. But it wasn't so much that way.
It was
Like
more
it was just like,
thing
oh,
y'all
this is shit, we're gonna go do this, and that's it, or I was left up to my own devices, and I found drawing. Like drawing was my first kind of whatever go-to or just instinctual art form. And I stuck with that, and my parents were great and backed it the entire time, supported me in whatever I wanted to do, and they were always, when I was younger, pursuing like painting and doing all kinds of other stuff. But it was interesting. If my parents were, I had some friends that had parents that weren't necessarily that way. You know what I mean? Where they were more like, I don't know, like after school's project, or like sports, or they were more, scholastic, kind of like, you need to have straight A's all the time. Like if I had parents like that, I would probably not be where I am now. Like my parents were super cool and supportive.
That's nice.
Yeah, it helped me out, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad kind of support me a lot more now, but they may never admit this, but I do remember kind of that, and as a concerning parent should be, like at first they're like, oh, maybe you should look into doing something else, like nursing,
Sure.
which is my mom kind of suggested. But to be fair, I told her I wanted to be a manga artist.
No, and that's scary to a lot of parents, because
most definitely. Yeah, no, I agree. That's like that's a scary thing for anyone to kind of hear just a little bit. So
yeah, well, and you have to think of the parents' concern. The parents are always, like, they need to make money and do good for themselves, and I want them to have better than me, and they want you to do well, so they don't want you to, because everybody has that like struggling artist shit, you know what I mean, like
that bullish. No,
yeah, well, not so much bullshit, just they know it's going to be a hard road for a lot of people, so they don't want to see their kids struggle, so they kind of like, maybe you would be a great financial advisor, or something like that.
That sounds kind of like the Buddha story.
Yeah.
Like a prince shielded from everything because his father wanted the best for him. He wanted him to be king or to be a spiritual guru.
Yep.
Kind of deal. The guy was like, he's gonna be a king, duh. Like, like I don't want my son doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit of resistance is good too. Like sometimes it can be like, but also support goes a long way. Support
goes a long way, but you do need the oppositions to harden your resolve, where you're like, no, this is what I want to do. Thank you, Kristen.
I think I should raise this thing higher because I think my hand.
Lovely weather.
I think my hand has been blocking the canvas this whole time on the YouTubes. On the YouTubes. And yes, if you still want to have a tattoo session, just message me on my Instagram at any point. No, I'll respond and do a quick consult and stuff. I'm so horrible. I'm so awkward. I'm awkward.
Stuffing things.
Just stuffing things. Like things and stuff and things. Oh, whoops. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna raise this a little higher. So that way my hand ain't so much in the way. There we go. I really love these things. Alright. I need to get a bigger brush. Well, nah, this does fine.
What the hell happened? Sorry, everyone. I must have hit the wrong thing.
What'd you do?
My Instagram feed flipped around, so everybody was looking at my armrest for a second. I
It's an
apologize
interesting
about
armrest.
that. Like, whoa, that's a very nice close up of some leather. Some fine leather work you have there, sir.
Damn fine.
Damn fine leather, sir. I don't think I've ever heard that. Yeah, I feel awkward now too. You are not alone.
So should I just paint this whole thing yellow?
You could. I mean, like I was saying the last time, like just going with a full base.
And then building off that.
And then just, yeah, because once you go with your full base, then all you have to worry about is shadows and highlights. And if you're going to do that a brighter or bright-ish color, I mean, it should be fine.
Yeah. I think I might do the skin and everything kind of like this thing here. Where is it? It's like glow in the darky looking this. Maybe with like dark blues and then contrast them up.
So silhouette?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's purple. Or deep violet.
Deep violet. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what I'm feeling up to. There we go. Now the nose doesn't look awkward. Panic.
If you're panicking at this stage, you're in trouble.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be awful? I feel like a lot of people. There we go. I got it.
Yeah. What?
Eli and Kyle are on my thing. But, damn it. I lost my train of thought because I was about to drop the camera and destroy our whole operation. Frack, man. What was I gonna say? Oh, when you get stuck in stuff with art and inspiration or like things to do, what do you usually do to kind of find that back? Do you have like a method of trying to get back?
Duck. Give me an example, please. 'Cause I'm not sure what you're driving at.
Yeah. More like artist block. Whenever you get an artist block,
Okay.
it's like no matter how hard you try, you can't think straight.
I don't think I've ever had an artist block where I can't think straight.
No?
Can't think straight? That's something different. An artist block, I mean, I've experienced where like no new ideas or everything looks like shit to me or stuff like that. And it's usually walking away for a minute.
Just walking away?
Yeah, well, walking away for a minute or exploring different art forms or just anything, like taking some time away. Usually helps. At least me. And then
kind of
you
get
just
like
have to jump back into it when as soon as you can.
Fair enough.
Kind of like the other night when we did the live painting session.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though I wasn't having an artist block, like, it was just pissy and whatever else, just down because of just the lack of sunlight and whatever else, and just me being a butthole, or my brain being a butthole. Even though I've been working on commissions and other stuff, I needed that, like, that time, that whole just out of the norm, like, just jump into something else and, okay, I'm gonna paint for 3 hours and do live painting, and I don't think about anything else, and I just completely dive in, and that usually snaps me out of a lot of shit.
So just diving in is like a really big.
After a break,
Okay.
like if I'm having like an actual like a dry well or a dry spell where I can't connect, it's usually a sign of something else going on. Where, like, I need to stop and do my weird meditations, or other things in my life aren't going exactly the way they should, or they need more attention than normal. So, like, that's usually what needs to be done. Stop, just walk away from art because I'm being frustrated, or I'm doing it for the wrong reasons, and then come back to it.
What would you say wrong reasons would be for doing art?
I mean, a lot of times, like, I'll do stuff just for the money. You know what I mean? And my heart's not in it. So, and that sounds so like, it sounds bad. But it's one of those things, like, as much as I would love to be a full-time I guess mercenary, an artist mercenary or an art mercenary, where I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, you want that, I'll do it, price tag, you know what I mean? When I start thinking of things or jobs in just monetarily, or money wise, that's when I need to stop, because, like, I will lose inspiration because I'm just doing jobs that I might not necessarily care about, or reasons that I don't necessarily align with, but I'm doing them just for money.
Yeah, I would say sticking to your true gut / true self is important.
It helps. But at least for me.
It does. And I mean, I'm sure I've told you, I've seen many comic convention people who would kind of do the same algorithm that everyone else is doing when it came to artwork, and doing the same things and never doing any originals. And a lot of them would be kind of depressed because they're stuck with this one thing they're known for, and they feel like they can't get out of this trap that they put themselves in for so many years of doing the same thing, of something that they're not too crazy about. But they're doing it for the money. Because comic conventions, you can make a lot of money.
Sure.
But, yeah. But
I think that's any kind of art form.
For sure.
Honestly, you know what I mean? I think there's tattoo artists that they just do what walks in the door, and they don't necessarily care about tattoos or invigorated about tattoos anymore, and they're just doing it for the paycheck because that's all they've known for so long. And it's,
jeez, I knew someone like that back at home. It was kind of sad because, like, he'll do it, but his back hurts a lot, and his family, they're a crazy bunch. They're a crazy bunch, and they get themselves in just shit, but somehow get out of it miraculously. Like, accidentally, like, bump into a car of a famous person or the famous person accidentally bumps them, and they let them drive like a nice ass car for like a week kind of deal. Like they get really lucky, in the worst way though too.
like they royally fuck themselves accidentally.
Yeah, but then they like continue to royally kind of do that every time. But I mean like.
Cosmic dance.
Yeah, everyone has their thing. But I remember him also kind of talking about, because he's just doing it so he can keep his family like settled and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of unsure about if he likes tattoos anymore. And sometimes I'll hear that conversation and I'm like, damn, I don't know.
No, I think everybody
like I understand
needs
it.
to come to that point. You know what I mean? You have to reevaluate. I mean, evaluating yourself or your life should happen every once in a while, where you're faced with that question: do I want to keep doing this? Should I keep doing this? Am I going to do it for the right reason?
But do you think there's like a point where it probably might be too late for some people to like switch
I think if you're breathing, it's not too late.
No?
That's just me.
Okay.
From my perspective, and
and fuck.
I mean, yeah, and fuck. But like, I definitely don't have all the fucking answers. That's for sure. But I mean, I like to think that we can always change. We as just humans can change. You know, when we need to, as long as you're breathing, it's not too late. There's always hope. I'm painfully optimistic sometimes. But on the other hand of that, like I can be painfully pessimistic too. So there's definitely a balance within me.
A balance.
Yeah, it's a sucky balance sometimes, but
yeah. I've been trying to figure out my balance between work and art.
Mm-hmm.
And like work and but also enough time for me to relax, like finding my perfect work/play style with art. And it's like you could go swing one way of the pendulum or you can swing the other.
Yeah,
I feel like nowadays it's all about like marketing. A lot has to do with like online marketing. Yeah.
That's the work part. The play part is art.
That's true. That is true. I concur with that thought.
I mean, if this is the life that you decide to follow, I mean, it's not the easiest of lives.
Nope, it's all risk.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you miss out. Like, if you want to do good at this and you really commit your life to it, like you commit your life to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, I'm just gonna be like, play the cool kid for a while and then I'll go do something else. Mm-hmm. And I want to hit all the shows and do all the things and tattoo and be popular. Blah 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 blah.
Blah blah blah.
Like that's all well and great, but starting out, it's not like that. You can't be that way. Like you have to dedicate some serious time. It's like being a doctor. Doctors aren't just fucking, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to shadow somebody for 45 days and then I'm going to be the hot shit fucking brain surgeon. It doesn't work that way.
The best way is to immerse yourself into it.
Yeah, they put a lot of time and dedicate their lives to this thing, Mm-hmm. I mean, they're in debt until they're 50, for student loans and shit. And I mean, basically get run to the ringer. But once they're 50, I mean, if they do it right, they can afford a lot of cool shit. And the same applies to us. Like, if you hang in there and you really dedicate yourself and you work hard and you do the right things at the right time, like, you can afford some really cool shit in the future. But it's not going to come to you right away. You're not going to get to go to every concert and party like a rock star. If you're into it to party like a rock star, then you're into it for the wrong reason.
What
go
tattoos?
be a DJ. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, go do that.
But it's also healthy to have a side thing to do.
A side thing?
Yeah.
What, like party?
No, like something separate from your from just art. I find that it's helpful if you have like a side thing that you're also into, because then that diversifies you. Plus,
but if you're learning, you don't have time for that. If you're going to actually dedicate your life to it and be, really go fucking balls in, you don't have time for a side thing at first. At first, you don't.
Okay, then yeah, I agree with that.
You don't. Like later on, yeah, sure, you can ease up, but you should always be hustling or maybe not hustling, but working towards being better and doing better and learning new things.
But isn't it healthy to take a break every now and then?
Take a break from tattooing?
Well, like, take some time for yourself. Not all the time. I'm not talking about like every week or even 2-3 weeks. Like maybe every other month or something. Or I like to think I would love my perfect idea of like a healthy work balance style is to like, I like working when I'm traveling, but if I'm gonna go do something for fun, I would like to do that every 4 months or so. Something big, something where I can go and relax and figure out, like, have a good time, don't have to work, but just...
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
The reality is I haven't found that yet. I mean, for myself, I haven't got there yet. I've been doing it for 18 years and I haven't got there.
Well then...
I can't afford it. Like, I would love to, sure, but, I mean, yeah. But that's, I'm sure there's people that can do that.
People do that.
Sure. But how long have they been working?
Depends. It depends on what they're doing.
Exactly. Everybody's situation is going to be different.
Yeah, for sure. That's how this is how I would perfectly put my style into it. Like I said, I still like to work when I travel. Like, when I travel, I don't want to, like, dilly-dally. I also want to work and be immersed. And that's why I kind of love tattoos now. It's just because I can understand. Like, it's a tool I can bring with me to places. And if I absolutely need to, I can still do it.
You see, that's kind of funny. When I travel, I'm just working. Like, I have a different venue. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I get to go where it's warm sometimes, which I'm very thankful for. Mm-hmm. But I'm working just the same. Like, it's not necessarily a vacation. It just means, actually, I'm losing money because I'm traveling to different places, taking time off from, almost guaranteed money, spending money on travel, which is not cheap, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I'm going to another place, and that's like little detail stuff within the business, but like you're paying somebody else a fee to work at their place, which costs, in the long run, costs you more money than what you would if you were at your own home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're not traveling at home.
No, you're making money.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly, travel isn't exactly like, for me, this is just me, not exactly like a super fun thing.
No?
If I'm going somewhere where I've never been before, yeah, absolutely. And like when I got to go to Italy, it's fucking super rad. When I got to go to England, super rad. But I still worked. So it wasn't like I was on the streets, like going to different places all the time. Like, I was working. I was trying to figure, and that's even more stressful because you're trying to figure out doing your normal stuff, trying to be as good as you can possibly be on the road in a different environment around different people with usually not exactly the same equipment, and if something goes wrong while you're on the road, it's even more stressful, and it's just a whole lot of like question marks and guesswork. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, fuck, like vacations are never. I think there's a study out there that a few years back said vacations are not stress relievers. They're actually more stressful than just normal work.
Depends on your focus.
No, I mean it's a study that they took with many different people. The time leading up to the vacation was better than the actual vacation because people were projecting like, oh, I'm gonna have this great time, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna get that, and they were excited about it. But the actual travel itself, like you put in like things go wrong, you know, plans fall through, you don't get to do this, it costs more money than what you expected, like it turns into a nightmare. And then when people get back, they're more wore out than what they were before they actually left on vacation.
Well, I still believe that might be on perspective. I do understand there's a lot of people that would feel that way, and I can see where they're coming from. There is definitely times when I've traveled where it does exhaust me and stuff, but I don't know, I like exploring. I like meeting new people. I like looking at things that are much different than my usual routine and things I see every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all those things too, but I don't necessarily get a chance to do any of that because I'm working even more while I'm on the road to make up for the money that I'm losing for being on the road.
How much does it cost for you to travel?
Plane ticket, where at? Depending on where we're going. Yeah.
Definitely if you're going to Europe, for sure.
Where am I? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to Europe, at the very least, say you get a good deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you got $800 to $1,000 plane ticket. Mm. Right? Say each way. So you got roughly $2,000 right there. You figure with bags and all that stuff. You've got your visa that you have to kind of take care of and get a work visa to go overseas.
Is that a hassle?
Yes.
You get that ish straight away.
Yeah, well, and you have to have somebody to go to. Then you have to pay your taxes up front. Mm. And you have to declare all that stuff. You have to make sure that when you're shipping all your things, like, say I was going to ship all my equipment over to let's just say, England, mm-hmm. right? The UK. If I was going to ship all my stuff, just a rough guess, shipping a few pigments, power supply, you know, just the bare minimal things that I would need, $300 to $400. Mm. Okay?
Okay.
Once it gets over there, there's usually another fee of 100 pounds or close to 100 pounds because it doesn't, when I ship from the US, they require 300. When it gets to the UK, they want a little bit extra. So they'll charge, you know, a few extra pounds. Then you have house rates. So if you're working at another shop, they take a cut of whatever you make. Mm-hmm. If you don't have people lined up, you know, and you're just working walk-ins, maybe you get one tattoo a day. If you're lucky, get one tattoo a day. And it's just a couple pounds. So, like, you're looking at the equivalent of doing, say, $100 a day. Mm. Right? How are you going to make up, say, $1,300 and being over there for maybe a week, you know, doing $100 a day plus going to travel plus getting a hotel or something like that, mm-hmm. if you're not staying with somebody? It's just a lot of work. I mean, even going, say, within the States, like if I was going to go out to one of my favorite places, Arizona, say I'm not driving. Say I'm going to fly. So I go out to Arizona. I get a guest spot at usually Divinity, where I worked for 2 years. I go out there. I have a few clients. I can book ahead of time at least a week. Say 1 tattoo, maybe 2 a day. Mm-hmm. Part of that goes to the house, and then part of it comes to me. I'm booking a plane ticket, round trip, $800, roughly. Then I have to rent a car while I'm out there, which you're looking at $400, maybe $500.
Why wouldn't you drive?
If I'm flying?
Well, if you're flying, yeah.
If I'm driving, gas money to get out there, you're looking at right around $3,500 each way. So right around $700.
So like a plane.
Yeah, but it's like, plus you have wear and tear on your car. You're still buying gas. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, and then you have hotel. I mean, luckily I have friends that I couch surf with.
Yeah, there's a way. That's what I've been doing since I've been traveling a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tend to, like, I like my personal space, so even if I'm couch surfing, I want at least 1 or 2 nights in a hotel by myself, without anybody else. And it's not that, I don't like being around other people. It just, sometimes I need solitude. Like, I just need to focus on what I need to focus on, and do line drawings and all that stuff. Yeah, traveling isn't necessarily like a vacation. Yes, I get to see a lot of my friends, and I love doing all that stuff, and I on my few days off, because like I'll schedule myself just like I would any other time. Like, I work all the days except for maybe 1 or 2 a week, and then those 1 or 2 days a week that I'm on the road or out somebody where I'm off, then yeah, on those days I'll see whatever I can possibly see, if I have the money to see it. Like, if I have a bad trip, because appointments cancel, people fall through, tattoos don't take as long as what they want, or they change their minds. I don't always get what I'm going to. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, this trip actually cost me more than what, like, I should have just stayed home and worked, and I would have made way more money.
But miss out on experience. You somehow made it back. You seem alright now.
Yeah, sure. But
so you would take them back to make more money at that moment?
Sometimes. It's not like I make money because I like money. I make money because living costs money,
I guess.
Like, I rent a home. I have to pay for it. I have, gas. I have electric. I have a car bill. I have to make at least so much money in order to pay for those things.
Yeah, but I understand that. I guess I'm used to not having as much, and even when I did own my own, or I haven't even really owned my own place now that I think about it, but I've been renting, and I usually am okay with whatever.
Mm-hmm. And see, I like nice things. And I'm not even living in it's a nice-ish place.
I like your place.
It doesn't rain inside anymore, thank God.
Anymore.
Yeah, it's like campus housing. You know, it's definitely not the best place in the world, but I mean, it beats a cardboard box. But I mean, even this place cost me too much, in my opinion. Right? And tornadoes are a serious hazard on the road, that's for sure.
Here?
Just anywhere. But on the way to Arizona, for sure.
I noticed a lot of dust storm signs when I was driving by there.
Yeah.
And then I witnessed a storm coming in on Phoenix, and I was like, holy shit, it looks like the apocalypse is about to happen.
Oh,
and I'm not prepared.
The
like
haboobs,
sandstorms, I think. What are they called?
Haboobs.
Haboobs, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. I thought...
It's just a windstorm, but it has a little bunch of dust and stuff in it.
Right.
And those damn things, like the sand in the desert, which is a hilarious little thing. Like there's a bacteria or a fungus that grows within the sand that it gives you permanent lung damage. It gets in your lungs and basically slowly chokes you to death. It's called valley fever. And you get like, you know, all the flu symptoms and all that stuff. But the haboobs or the windstorms pick that sand up and dust up that carry that virus and just blows it in the air. So like people are just walking around fucking wheezing and dying and shit.
Jeez, I didn't know it could affect that much.
Yeah, so like
it did look like a scary storm anyway.
It was always funny. I always walked around with like a big towel over my face. I looked like the whitest terrorist ever. I was like, you're not getting into my lungs.
Hell no.
That is preserved
not
for
today,
cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a special place in my heart for the smokes.
For the cigarettes.
For the cigarettes. I like the other leaf.
What's that?
I like the other plant.
Ugh. Not my thing.
I know. Although I find it interesting, like, I could smoke a cigarette every now and then, and it's like the perfect thing, but it's not something I can do all the time. Yeah. Like my chemistry, I don't think it reacts well with too much of it.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I totally understand that. And
with coffee, it's funny because I used to not be able to handle 2 cups. I used to get way too hyper, and I didn't know how to like release that energy. But I've been thinking and writing and making goals / also like keeping myself busy while I drink a lot of coffee now, but it's been kind of helping. And then I find that the weed plants, I don't know, I like it now. I used to hate it when I first tried it. I thought it stunk. It still does. I don't like the smell in particular. I can't smell it after a while. That's a problem, and people will tell me. But I mean, it kind of helps calm me down. It gives me a little bit more peace of mind, in a weird way. Or it makes me super vulnerable to where I'm a little more hyper-aware-ish of things. Or at least of my emotions, for sure. I think I have a lot of introspective thoughts, and it helps me...
Well, yeah.
Them high thoughts. But some of them are gold. And it helps open up that brain for thinking. I know it's definitely helped me with anxiety for the longest time. I used to get really bad at it, and now it's like not so much of a problem in my life today. But that's also coming with growing in the mind. Yeah. Very much, yes.
That's good. Yeah, I
mean,
is still growing. It works for a lot of people. It's not something that works for me. I mean, it was definitely tried it and had fun with it when I was like 20 to 22. After that, I didn't really mess with it. I mean, a friend of mine at one time, I was going through a rough spot. And he was like, "Here, just just take this joint, man, and
You
go home and relax. Dude, I couldn't. Like, I took like a hit or 2 hits off of it, and this was a long time ago. But then he took a couple hits off of it, and instantly it was like just full of paranoia and just fear. I was like, yep, nope, this is not for me. Not my thing.
We are about 4 minutes till it's an hour. Oh, just start. Oh, the Instagram. That's right. We're on there.
No, Josh, I am not doing the Mary Jane. That is for sure. This is not very merry for me. I was just telling the story of when I tried it after a long hiatus, and I got the crazy paranoias.
The paranoias. That's hardcore sometimes, though, I will admit.
Yeah, I don't need any help in the paranoia. Meth is better. I would love to say I would love to say I would do meth, but I already have bad genetics with my teeth, so I don't need any help in the rotting mouth area. I like having a smile that people don't cringe from. I mean, people cringe when I smile anyhow, but they not for the same reason.
Oh, you derp.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Jeremy say?
Looking sweet.
Looking. Yeah, I'm excited. I need to figure out how I'm gonna do her falling to ashes, and I might reposition her hands again. Maybe.
And it's looking good. Getting a lot of coverage. Where it's going. Oh, my buddy Josh said that my smile was intoxicating. You are a true friend, sir. You're a horrible liar, but a true friend. What about you? What do you do? Well, shit. I guess I shouldn't ask that question 2 minutes before.
Well, what?
I was just gonna ask if there was anything that you did to get out of a dry spell or a funk.
I actually like looking at my old work, at old sketches and ideas, see if I can recycle any of them.
Nice.
To actually force me to do something, but something like work on an idea or even rework an idea that I've had, to at least get me doing something. Like anything. As long, like you said, as long as I can plunge into it, that's fine. But usually my dry spells are like, I can't paint or do anything because I can't think of anything. Or I'm like really down and I haven't done it in a while, to where I don't have that discipline anymore to like sit down and like draw. Yep.
Gotcha. Because the longer time you are away from it, the harder it is to get back into it.
Very much, yeah. And like I said, I've been on a dry spell for 2 years almost. I made like maybe 3 or 4 half-done works for school and everything else, and it was just, I was selling the same old convention stuff, but yeah, but I found that getting back into drawing my old stuff kind of helped me out. And I usually will look at sketchbooks and past inspiration and that remember who you are kind of moment. Like, no, you're an artist. You're doing fine. Just keep, like, do you know, like, I know in my heart this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And I know this is the program I've been created for, and it's something I love-hate. So.
Yeah, true that.
Like, I wish I could dance and do other things, but just like people who do dance and other stuff anyway, they put the time and effort into it, and I've chosen art to be my time and effort, and I respect and love it in every single way.
That's fair.
Cool. And on that note, I think we are just 1 minute after. Is there anything you want to end with the YouTube podcast?
That even though that travel is a pain in the ass, I still love to do it. And even though I lose my ass a lot of times on travel, I still love doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that love-hate thing.
It
you
is
know what
a love-hate thing. True.
It's just like art. Like, don't get me wrong. I love and appreciate, and I'm thankful and grateful for every single moment that I have struggled, honestly, and that I have succeeded in art. But it's a bastard. Art is a very...
Ew.
It
was the paint, I swear. It was the paint.
She's a bitch of a lover, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, but you still love her. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. But I mean, when it's meant to be, that's just how it is.
Everything's a lesson.
Yep. I mean, other than that, I just want to thank everybody that tuned in.
Heck yeah. Or everyone soon to watch this eventually.
Yep. And please like and subscribe. Smash that notification.
Smashing.
Smash.
But yeah. And this is Paint Night Podcast. Good night and thank you.
Thank you.